Привет, Internet, and welcome, dear viewer. This channel is dedicated to creepy content from the Russian-speaking post-Soviet internet space. I hope you enjoy these stories, some possibly fictional, while others are absolutely true. Let's get started. Anon, listen to my chilling story. I used to work as a security guard in a morgue. It wasn't just a morgue, though. It was part of a medical university. Students studied there. The second and third floors had lecture halls, rooms with skulls and embryos in jars, and the forensic department. The morgue was in the basement. One night, after a routine inspection visit, the crew with the inspector usually came around 2 a.m. I couldn't fall asleep. I decided to wander around the building, go on patrol. The corridor leading to the basement was long and twisted, seamlessly turning into a staircase. The basement was a semi-lit hallway with light blue tiled floors and numerous side rooms where bodies were cleaned and prepared. The hallway ended at a ceremonial hall, about 8 by 8 meters in size. The hall itself was dark, only a little light spilled in from the corridor, where a few lamps were dimly lit. In the middle of the hall stood a platform shaped like a coffin, which was used to hold coffins during family farewells. The walls were covered in blood-red velvet, or something similar. Even during the day, the place felt gloomy, maybe because it was semi-underground and sunlight only partially entered through the windows. But at night, the room was downright unsettling. This was where fresh bodies were brought in, and later carried out for burial. Heavy iron doors led to the courtyard. I stopped by the freezer door and listened. It was silent inside. Sleeping like the dead, I thought, with a smirk. No one seemed to be planning on waking up. I was about to leave when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something that sent waves of hot and cold chills through me. Along the walls of the ceremonial hall were benches, plain wooden benches for sitting. When the place got crowded during funerals, not everyone could fit in the hall, so people had to wait outside, enduring the heat or cold. These benches offered a place to sit, rest, and warm up. In the dim light of the hall, I saw an old woman sitting on one of the benches. She looked like a proper, well-dressed lady, even wearing a hat, I think. For a moment, I thought maybe she'd somehow been accidentally locked in the hall and had no choice but to spend the night there. But then my instincts screamed, what the hell is this old lady doing in the morgue basement at 3 a.m.? She wasn't supposed to be here. Get out of here now, an inner voice urged me. Run, quickly. This is all wrong, surreal. Even more unnerving was that the woman didn't seem to notice me. She sat there motionless, staring at the wall. I fumbled for the light switch on the wall and turned on the lights with a jerk. The hall was empty. The spot where the old lady had been sitting was vacant. Leaving the lights on, I hurried to the stairs, constantly glancing over my shoulder. I couldn't calm down for a long time. I woke up the nurse, a woman in her mid-40s, who always stayed on night duty with me, and breathlessly told her what had happened. At first, she didn't take me seriously, probably still half asleep. But after she woke up more, she said, I couldn't sleep all night because of that damned old lady. Why'd you have to tell me such horror stories? As for me, I never went back to the basement at night. I avoided it completely. The impression of that encounter with the unexplainable has stayed with me to this day. I still don't know what it was, but every time I remember it, my breath catches, and my eyes tear up from the sheer terror. Could it have just been my imagination from lack of sleep? Who knows? Never wander the dark corridors of a morgue at night, anon. No, hungry zombies from American horror movies won't attack you. But who knows what your mind might conjure up in the darkness. I think I got off easy. When I was in university, I worked night shifts as a security guard at a fitness club. Nowadays, I hear they've got a private security firm there, but back then, for some reason, They just hired some clueless guy to sit around all night and call for backup if anything happened. That clueless guy was me. At first, everything was great. I worked on a 2 days on, 4 days off shift schedule and barely had to do anything. Basically, I locked the doors in the evening, opened them in the morning, and that was it. I'd bring my laptop, play games, sleep for a couple of hours, and before I knew it, the morning had arrived. So there I was, one night, playing Total War, when out of nowhere I heard the hand dryer in the restroom turn on. At first I didn't think much of it. My little god booth was far enough away that the sound was muffled and I didn't immediately realize what it was. Then the dryer turned on again, and this time I knew for sure. I started feeling uneasy because I knew I was alone. Even the cleaning lady, who usually mopped the floors around 10 p.m., had left a couple of hours earlier. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat there, listening to every sound, but nothing else strange happened. Before this, it's worth mentioning, weird things had already been happening. Day staff told me about items going missing from locked lockers, but no one cared much. It's Russia, after all. The next night I was back on shift, fully expecting something weird to happen again. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. What was strange was that the footsteps sounded like the person was walking through walls. The doors were all locked, but it seemed like this walker was passing from the hallway into the rooms. I was so scared I froze in place, doing nothing but sitting there and listening. The footsteps stopped after about 3 minutes, but I was convinced that whoever, or whatever it was, would come into my booth next since walls clearly didn't matter to it. I sat there for half an hour, expecting some monster to emerge from the wall or the door handle to start rattling. I tried to push those thoughts away, but it was useless. I was terrified. Then, from the nearby office equipment room, I heard the loud crash of glass shattering. At that point, I lost it. I flung my door open and bolted out of my booth. I ran down a couple of hallways and started frantically unlocking the main door to get outside. The whole time, I was certain that, just like in some dumb horror movie, something was going to grab me right at the door. Turning around wasn't even an option. I finally got the door open and ran outside. I stood there for about 20 minutes, trying to process what had happened, and I decided I wasn't going back in. I never told anyone about it. But the guy who covered shifts on other nights, apart from the third guard, an alcoholic who would just pass out and never hear anything, said he'd experienced plenty of weird stuff too. Here's what he told me. One night, around 2 a.m., music suddenly blasted at full volume from the sound system in a locked room. Unlike me, he wasn't such a coward, so he went to check it out. By the time he got there, the music had stopped. But what shocked him was that the sound system wasn't even plugged into the outlet. He went back to his booth, and not long after, he heard the music start again. That time, he decided it was better not to investigate further. And that's the story.